3 of the Minecraft Trailcraft SMP. This is a 1.19 multiplayer survival world between me and about 5 or 6 other people. It is named after the up-and-coming 1.20 Trails and Tales update, which is only weeks away now, and so everything that's being done in this world as of this point is being done with that in mind. I'm real quick going to explain some of that. So, because we're trying to explore as little as possible, besides this main first starting map, we haven't gone too far out of that range. And we haven't really explored much of the Nether, and we haven't gone to the end yet. And in fact, we're not going to do any of that until the 1.20 comes out. So, even though this is a 1.19 The Wild Update world, the series as a whole and the world as a whole has very much from the very beginning been based around 1.20. I would not have created this world if armor trims hadn't been announced. That's just honestly the truth of it. Armor trims are the only thing that saved my interest in Minecraft enough to make me say, oh shit, I want to play in this new update. So, the first 2 live streams that I did, and so essentially the first 2 episodes I did of this series, I had the audio unfortunately disabled. So real quick, I'm going to, with my phone, check to make sure we have audio, and then we're going to get into explaining and recapping the world and the events that have happened in it. Okay, so my voice is coming through clearly, so that is perfect. Let me take a sip and we'll start. Okay, so episode 1 of this series was the world tour, because I spent that entire stream basically recapping all of the major locations that were going to play a vital role in the series that I had worked on before I had decided to stream the first video. We're going to have to redo that world tour because obviously there was no audio, so that's what this video is going to be. However, on top of that, we're also going to be recapping any major events that have happened in the world and any major themes of the world that I may not have covered in those videos. We're also going to go over to the episode 2 area, and I'm going to show off the project that we finished off in that video, which also unfortunately didn't have audio. So let's get started. We're currently starting out in my starter house on the 2nd floor. This is a chest of all the music discs I've collected. Obviously, one of my end goals for this world would be to have one of every music disc, but we're nowhere near that point just yet. And then over here, we have the first, or one of the first, Illager banners I got in the world from killing a scout. My first ever god apple in the world. My first ever wooden pickaxe in the world. And this is my first ever nether star in the world. I also have 3 mob heads hanging up for decoration, which I got using a trident. So, this is basically my upstairs little loft area. We can come down here. This was a starter house, so obviously it's not the fanciest or largest in the world. But here we have a map of the main compound, which real quick, let me pop open my end chest and get out a spyglass. We're going to look at it up close first so that you can see the general gist of everything that we've got so far. This is our main compound, which on the main map occupies that little corner beach area up there. So let's back up into this corner, and you can see basically everything of importance in our world. Down here is Cash Town. It is the main library and villager area where I was grinding to get mending books. Up here we have Nico, one of the member of our server's houses. This is the quarry, which we were working on in episode 2. That is the project I was referring to. The iron farm, a little memorial, which we'll cover later, gold farm. This entire area of our base is really just the industrial district. This map right here. And then this map right here, in a way, is kind of an expansion of that because the iron farm is down there. This is my girlfriend's first house in the world, which she built and then moved out of. She has 2 more in the world, one right here and one right there up in the main village. She's been really on that rental lifestyle, trying to sell out some old houses. Descending deeper down into my basement, we have a better way that I made of getting in and out using water funnels, and we'll probably use that from now on whenever we want to get something. We have the starting brewing area I made. Just a basic setup to get us started. Over here, I started on a pretty basic smelting system that I haven't even bothered finishing yet because I haven't needed to. And then we have my main storage area for my starter house, which I'm actually really happy with. I definitely won't do this design again because it's not as efficient as what is really needed. But for just my starter base, it was really a good help. And down here we have the vast quantity of wealth that we are racking up. I'm probably the most proud of my diamond chest. This chest makes me very happy. But so does this chest up here too. You see I got 7 other god apples, mostly from ancient cities, but few from a dungeon. Some mob heads, various things like wither roses, netherite, you know, all the fancy things that you need to really get started in Minecraft world we have down here. And this chest is probably our most important chest. This is our max level armor chest, where I'm trying to get a fully upgraded set of each armor. You can see only the netherite pieces in this chest are actually done, and the turtle helmet. And if something is done, it'll have a name, and it'll be as enchanted or as max level as I can get it. There are some exceptions to this rule, though. You can see these both have Thorns 3, but neither of these boots have Thorns 3, and as I only recently learned, you can put Depth Strider and Soul Speed on the same boots. I would have assumed that similar to Frostwalker, they would have been incompatible to limit just what you can put on one set of armor, and to potentially encourage owning multiple suits of armor, but it appears that's actually not the case. Honey, let's drop these cauldrons off. So, once 1.20 comes out and we get access to armor trims, I'm going to have each of these decked out with their own trim and their own color scheme, and it's going to be really fire. I'm going to have a lot of drip in this world. In fact, arguably, drip has been my main goal in this world, as you can see by my Yeezys and Gucci belt that I'm wearing right now. So I've really been trying to focus on getting drip. But that is essentially my starter house pretty much covered. So we can exit here now and get a tour of the base itself. So this is our OG nether portal built in the world when we first were entering the nether. And behind it, you'll see the house that my brother made. It's a big, boxy L that he essentially has just turned into a prison for trapping villagers. Yeah, you can see he has a lot of them in here. In fact, every one of these rooms is dedicated to a profession, except that one we were in a second ago, which was dedicated to, like, several professions. Damn it, come back here. I'm trying to trade with you. Nothing I really want at the moment. Here we can have the starter mine, which is also built by my brother. You can see he built it as a sort of diagonal mine design, which he only half built it, so eventually I had to go back and finish it up and link it up to the underground aspects of our world. But we're not going to cover that yet. We're going to cover that later. We're going to run over here, and this will be the first thing that we show off in this world. So it turns out, right beneath our main base, and ignore this ugly structure, because this was just built temporarily also by my brother to mark out what's what. But if we come down here, you'll see that right beneath our base is actually a mine shaft that is pretty close up to the surface. So I came in here a few times now and have cleaned the place up a little bit. It's not as good looking as I would otherwise want it to be. Like, it's not the best looking mine shaft ever. But I came in here and fixed up the paths so that they all connect to each other and none of them are broken. And, yeah, that was a nice little mini project to work on. And you can see there's a cave spider spawner here, which we haven't done anything with. But there's another one here for the first farm we're going to cover in this world, which is a cave spider farm. You just jump down here, which I'm just going to break my ankles because I don't feel like taking an elaborate way around. And you whack some spiders, get a little bit of XP to fix up your mending tools or to enchant, and a pretty large quantity of string and spider eyes. And then I put a chest right here with some disposable swords of either sharpness or bane of arthropods that I've gotten over time from some of my other farms, just so that if people are in it for the XP, they can, instead of using their mending tools, just use some disposable shit. Welcome to the stream, Shoddy. And eventually, maybe we'll make this into a double cave spider spawner instead of just having the one room and having this one sitting out here doing practically nothing. But I haven't really felt like it's necessary so far, and so haven't really bothered worrying about it. Obviously, the mineshaft is a little bit messy still, especially in this back half. But way over here is actually a third cave spider spawner. This one apparently also has some chests with some pretty good Bane of Arthropods gear just sitting in it. But if you break the torch that's in this one, my brother essentially just turned it into an arena for fighting cave spawners, rather than like a dedicated farm that traps them. I went back in and fixed up the walls. You can see here that the walls are all wooden now. Before they were like a mix of stone, wood, dirt, and other stuff. So I just fixed it up a little bit, but as you can see, there's quite a few parts of the mine shaft that are just in desperate need of renovation. But that is something we can worry about another time. I actually think one of our upcoming live streams will probably be us fixing this place up, but I haven't really decided what would really make the place look good. Let's just run down here and whack a few spiders before we leave. The reason I don't really like this farm, and the reason I haven't had much care for the mine shaft, is because it's incredibly inefficient. It's good for getting string, it's really good for getting string, and it's really good for getting spider eyes, but the cave spiders constantly climb, and the slime blocks help with that, but they're too easy to break, so we have to leave this cobblestone back here, and then they manage to climb up that, and up this glass blocks at the front, so it's just hasn't been as perfect as would be preferred, and they don't give very much XP, so while this was, for a time, a really nice place to come whenever I didn't feel like going to a better XP farm that was a lot further away, now it has become kind of just kind of forgotten about. It's just not the most useful thing to focus on. But we'll run out of the mine shaft here. Once we work on sprucing up the actual mine shaft down there is when I need to think about how we're going to make the entrance to the mine shaft. Because this nasty little hut up here can't stay forever. It's gotta go. But I don't know what we want to necessarily replace it with yet. But anyway, now we can move further into the village, which leads us to our, I guess, second group member's house besides my brother that we're actually looking at in person. This is the starting house that W1A7 made, another YouTuber who does kind of mostly Terraria and also makes music. You can see he mostly just built what's essentially a storage center, and then he has a few crafting tables down here. Just some basic stuff that he thought he needed to get started in the world. And across from that is the second house of my shoddy. We haven't covered the first one yet, but you can see this one was built and then never really furbished, because it was kind of moved on from for house number 3, which is a little bit more fancy. I don't know if we'll necessarily cover that just yet, but you can see it's over there. We'll probably get to that in a second. Moving on, there's just some normal village houses that we can run past, but here is sort of the core of our village. This is the frame of a septuple beacon. Right now, it only has 2 in here, giving us speed 2 and jump boost 2 over a majority of the main compound, but not all of it. I need to grind out some more withers. I have enough skulls to do, I think, 3 or 4 more beacons, but don't have enough for all 6, and that is because I let W187 and Nico actually keep nether stars from some of the fights that I had them participating in, and so since I let them keep those stars, we don't really have enough to make the whole compound beacon yet. And as you'll see later, I have other beacons that I'm putting to other tasks. But moving on, right to the left, we have the library. This was the first build where I took one of the village houses and really started like expanding it and trying to make a build in the village that was on par with the style of the village. So using cobble and spruce mostly, but that felt a little bit more fancy. So you can see that I added an extra little bit right here with the roof facing a different direction to give it more height, texture, and variety. But I couldn't think to do with this area, and so I ended up turning it into just basically a pergola filled with glowberries. You can see I'm growing some bees on the back, and we basically just have all our animals crammed in this pen. This will have to be moved at some point. But going inside, we have our starting enchantment area here in the world, which I've decorated a little bit. I'd like to add like a skeleton skull in one of these corners and a little bit of other stuff to make it more mystical and spooky looking. But we got a grindstone in here, an end chest, and a enchantment table. And then we'll just run upstairs real quick, because the inside upstairs is also decorated. Not like anything too crazy or nothing, but just a small amount of detail work. And that's basically the library covered. Let's pop on out of here. And move on to the industrial district of our compound. You can see we have 2 lava generators right here. Not the most efficient lava generators I could have made, but I was trying to make them at least look somewhat interesting or appealing. And so I gave them this sort of fancy little design right here. But, like I said, not the most efficient. They'll probably have to get replaced at some point. This chest is really backing up. Okay, let's grab all this real quick. It looks like I know what we're going to do today, and we're going to do a raid today so that we can get some emeralds, because look at all these melons that we have backed up. So this is the first auto farm that I built in the world. It is an auto melon pumpkin farm, which works pretty well. It occasionally breaks when the chunks get unloaded, but other than that, this thing is just a model of efficiency. It does absolute wonders. And if it weren't for this, I would not have been able to get over 1,000 emeralds within a pretty short period of time, maybe 2 weeks. Probably not even 2 weeks. Probably the first week I had 1,000 emeralds. Next up, we have the auto sugarcane farm. Unfortunately, I used a hopper for every single slot in the water down there, because I hadn't built one of these in this world before and wasn't really thinking about how to make it the most efficient. And this is before I had an iron farm, so this really set me back. But beside that, you can see a second auto sugarcane farm I made, this time where I had learned my transgression, and instead it only uses 1 hopper at the end, which funnels down into 2 more hoppers just to, you know, move it, but eventually brings it into this chest right here. This farm seems to be broken. Where's the minecart? Yeah, it is broken. So, it's not just that other one that breaks, it's, a few of the farms are breaking, actually. And, I don't necessarily know how to prevent that from happening. I think I'm pretty sure what causes it. I think it's from the chunks going unloaded, and then the farm breaking. But I don't know how to prevent that from happening. If we put that back in there, now it should run perfectly fine. Yeah, that's perfect. Because of the side of the base these sugarcane farms are on, they honestly don't run too often or as efficiently as is needed. Like, these probably haven't been checked in a week or 2, and you can see they don't even have 2 full rows. That's why when I made the first one, I actually doubled it up and turned the backside into a auto sugarcane farm as well, which I was going to do with this one as well, but I was kind of sick of building auto sugarcane farms, and so I just left it as a singular row. These were the starting crop farm in the world. I wanted to do something a little bit different than in my previous worlds, so I just created this design of a water tunnel going up with each of the layers, and eventually each one would have a lantern hanging and oak all around it. But as you can see, I never finished that, and indeed I do kind of want to get rid of these and replace them with something a little bit better looking, especially because there's a farmer villager now who has destroyed the bottom row and just turned all of it into carrot farms instead of the individual farms. It's this little guy right here. Here we have probably the crop farm I'm happiest with in this world, the auto bamboo farm. This thing produces a massive amount of bamboo, and it's honestly perfect because I think I just see another one that's broken. I've been using this to get essentially sticks without having to mine trees, because who really enjoys the tedious grind of mining trees in Minecraft? Absolutely nobody. But once bamboo wood is added, it will get another purpose, and I think that was enough to fix it. Yeah, so now this farm is running A-okay again. We can pop up out of here. This top layer, because this one is actually too tall, is slower and definitely doesn't run as efficiently as the bottom, but it still produces a decent amount and more bamboo than I will ever need in the 1.19 version of Minecraft. In 1.20, I might have to start expanding my supply, getting more bamboo if I intend to use it for, building blocks. But so far, I'm generally pretty proud of the design of the building because I think the outside looks pretty good. Again, I tried to model it after a mix of the theme of the village palette and a little bit of trying to match it up with the palette of Nico, another member of the server's house, which he followed a YouTube tutorial to build his, and it is a really beautiful looking house, even if it isn't his design. But seeing as it's right next to our main base, I decided when I was building the bamboo farm that I would try to mimic the style of the base village itself, while also trying to, in some ways, bridge the gap between his design and ours. So rather than one of the simple log roofs, I did a more fancy roof, more of an A-frame design, and then I went ahead and incorporated deep slate into the design. You can see it's not my greatest build ever, but I think it looks good enough and makes the outside of the bamboo farm look nice. I did want to leave this glass here so that you could observe the bamboo farm in action. I think it's cool being able to see your farms. But for the top layer, I sort of segmented the glass a little bit to make it look more structural and less awkward, which I think looks really nice. I'm really proud of the bamboo farm. But if we follow here, one of the most recent changes I've made when it comes to the pathing in this world is that now you can follow the path over here. This is the 100 meter or 100 block away poppy line. I'll explain that in a minute. And that is the 64 block away poppy line. I'll also explain that in a minute. Most recent farm that I've built in this world is right here. It is a gold farm. It also gives you XP and rotten flesh for emeralds, which is really nice. I do need to build a building around it instead of just leaving it exposed to the air like this, but haven't quite gotten to that yet. And if we keep following along this path, let me just quickly do this because I am not liking the way this looks. And I want to do a little bit of terraforming to the landscape, which I've done a lot of landscape terraforming in this world. You can see this entire area is pretty much speaking flat. That was definitely not the case when this world was started. But to the right is a mountain meadow biome, which Nico was going to make his actual original base design. So he does have the starting bits of a base somewhere up in that mountain, but it's basically been abandoned. And here we have the episode 2 project. This, let me get my totem out before I stand on the edge like this. This is a massive drop, a 16 by 16, so an entire chunk worth of space, quarry, where the land was mined out all the way down to bedrock. And you can see I exposed a really, really massive dripstone cave down there, and exposed a dungeon pretty close to the surface. It's a spider spawner, if you can see it. And I'm trying to put a layer of glass at the bottom so that you can walk down there without falling in. But this was a really fun project and really cool. I was watching a lot of The Walking Dead while working on it. And the reason I chose to do it in this spot specifically, I'm a person who loves quarries. They've been one of my favorite, little things to do in Minecraft worlds ever since I was a kid, really, because I used to watch a lot of modded Minecraft. But the reason I chose to dig it in this exact chunk is because right there at that lava, well, it used to extend all the way to about this pretty big little chunk right here. And that surface lava pool cost Nico a bunch of his diamond gear when a skeleton shot him into it right outside of his house. And it cost me a bunch of my diamond gear when a phantom knocked me into it right outside of his house. And so I decided to get vengeance on the lava pool, and indeed the chunk as a whole, and mine it all the way down to bedrock. And then over here we have a memorial for the lava pit itself. These two buckets are both taken directly from the original lava pit, and all 4 of those lava puddles down in there, and in fact another one that's hidden up in there, were all also from the original lava pit. Moving on, we have the main iron farm in the world. This one is absolutely brilliant, definitely not my design by any means, although I did build this outside wall here just to make this a safe area, and I built this little glass enclosure, which I think looks really nice in the Minecrafty sort of way. And I just come in here and AFK for iron and poppies, which moves on to the poppy lines. So the original video said to make sure that the iron farm is 100 blocks away from a village. So I take that to mean 100 blocks away from any villager workstations or beds. And so if you see over there, that is the 100 block line. However, the 100 block line, it actually includes Nico's house, which has workstations and beds. So I was thinking that 100 thing isn't probably quite accurate. And I think I was sort of right about that, because whenever I was looking at more information about Minecraft villages and iron farms, I found something that said that 64 blocks away from a village is essentially the detection range. And so 64 blocks away from the outside wall of this structure, which isn't even technically the farm itself, it's a little bit further than the farm, but in every direction has a poppy field. And the general goal is to try and keep any beds, workstations, or things that might interfere with this farm out of the way, because the iron farm is really useful, and if it breaks, it'll be a massive pain to repair. But that's pretty much the gist of that. Over here, we have another one of the more recent projects in the world, which is clearing out the mountainside over here, doing some terraforming, and trying to make it look nice. So you can see we have a We have a spot right here, which is going to be turned into a nice-looking pond with a little bit of flora down there, some sea pickles and seagrass probably, and decorated with some mud. I just fell in a hole. And then there's a river funneling into it, which comes from a bit of a waterfall spring up in the side of this mountain. And then all along the hillside, we are turning the grass into moss and putting in some decorative features. So over here, we have a pretty big wheat field with some cobble and mossy cobble on the end there that's completely surrounded with some... Ooh, that's getting fucked. Okay, well, I don't have a hoe on me, so we're going to have to leave that there for now. I will go grab a hoe in one quick second. Yeah, we'll do that in one quick second. Yeah, some wheat field with some nice decorations around it, trying to blend into the mountainside, add some more stuff here. And because there's a little cave entrance here, I decided to do a little bit more terraforming and give it like a little fancy entranceway into the cave, which maybe I'll do something with that at some point. Let's see, I think the nearest hoe is probably going to be over here. Damn, I hate phantoms. Even with a max level mending bow, they're still an absolute pain in the ass. And in fact, all my tools pretty much have mending on them nowadays. But, let's jump over here, and I fucking missed. Jump over here. You have to go back to the farm area to get a hoe, so I can fix that piece of grass that I unfortunately trampled. You need to actually not exist. Damn phantoms. Alright. No more distractions. Let's get down here, get a hoe, and get to business. Oh yeah, hopefully this little speed boost will be enough to get me all the way back there. I think it only lasts like 11 seconds, but 11 seconds should be good enough. Come on. Come on. Come on, we can make it. Oh, we're so close. Alright, well, we didn't quite make it all the way there, but we made it pretty far. Yeah, these phantoms, they never quit. Whenever I first started this world, for a pretty good amount of time, we had like 0 phantom membranes at all, and it was starting to bother me. I was like, damn, we're not going to be able to make any slow-falling potions when it comes time for the dragon fight. But now that I have this essentially max-level bow, it doesn't have max-level punch, but I wasn't really too worried about getting max-level punch on it. But ever since I started using this bow and my infinity bow, I have such a massive amount that occasionally I make slow falling potions just so that I can jump into the quarry back there. But moving on the other side of here, we have a hillside that's been terraformed with moss, and I've created a little cobble and mossy cobble enclosure where we have some rows of rose fields. And we're going to remove this one extra rose bush. I set it there because I didn't think that it would really mean much, but seeing that one just kind of standing outside the enclosure feels awkward to me. Dude, they just really don't want to stop coming. Grab that XP. The reason I chose to make this one out of rose bushes is because I have a lot of problems with this one getting trampled by various things, and it really annoys me. But with that covered, that covers pretty much this entire half of our base. So we're going to run back across here, and we're going to actually cover Nico's house. So right there where that wool block was actually Nico's farmstead. A few days ago, we had a total world corruption, and the only thing that saved it was that I already had a backup of the world. So unfortunately, his farmhouse, which was his own design, was based on the palette of this build, but was his own original full house. And it looked really good. I was actually really proud of it, especially because he had never been much of a builder back in the day. But unfortunately, it was lost. But real quick, we'll just run inside and check out his house. Even if it's not his own design, I'm guessing if someone made a tutorial, they expected people to follow it. So I'm sure they wouldn't mind their progress being shown off in another series. You can see he has a bit of an auto smelter up here. Not too much decoration on the inside, but pretty big chest monster going on there. Coming back outside, we'll just walk through this gate. You can see he built it right on this little pond here. And he said that he intended to maybe build like a storage center underneath it or something like that. And obviously his little farmhouse was being used for storing crops and composters and stuff like that. And it looked really nice. But don't know what his plans are because he hasn't been able to play in the world since then. Moving on back towards here, we have the start of a sheep pen. This is going to need to be moved too. It's just to get us some wool of a lot of various colors. And here we have one of the first builds I made in this world, which was a villager apartment building. Each one of these rooms has literally just a composter and a bed, because I wanted nothing but farmers at the time. A few of these villagers have linked to outside professions, unfortunately. So really I need to do some more breeding in this area. But I built the first layer and then added a second layer with a little bit of a thing on the backside. And personally, I think it looks really nice. Like, I think it looks really clean for a sort of low-scale Minecraft build that matches with the natural builds that are around in Minecraft. And coming back over here, we have my girlfriend's other house. This is her little beach house. The roof is not perfect. I'm not gonna lie, it could use a little bit of work. And I think this one was also inspired from a tutorial, but some changes and some liberties were taken with it. And I think it looks pretty good, actually. I think, like, with a few bits of extra furnishing and with a few modifications to the roof, it'll look really, really clean. But, yeah, we're gonna move on from here. Like I said, it's a pretty cute little house. It just needs a few changes. Few sprucing ups. But running back over here, we have my graveyard. Now this marks every one of my deaths so far in this world. Now, in my episode 2 stream, one of the things I was saying was that I was really hoping to always keep that number down at 11. But I'm unfortunately here to inform you that I have died in between episodes. And I'm actually on my 12th death, which was right here. I was using Riptide to fire into the sky, but I had my map equipped instead of a Totem of Undying, and I accidentally entered third person. And it was not a pleasant experience. 47 levels, welp, goodbye. Death number 12. Very unfortunate, very unfortunate. But moving on, we can come across the water right here to the first house that my girlfriend built in the world. A quaint little sort of stilts like little beach house as well, which she also built this nice little bridge across, and this little bridge over here, which they're nothing fancy or anything like that, but as it would turn out, because she built this bridge based on a 3 across design, it links up perfectly with the village pathways, which is actually really, really nice. It's one of my favorite things about it. She used birch log for the support pillars because she's a big fan of cows and cow print, and sort of like a bit of a running joke that birch is like the cow print tree. And I came back a little bit later and added in these trapdoors in the corners just to give it a little bit more depth and a little bit more like support. And since she hasn't been using it for anything, I put a few brewing stands in here and the ingredients to make weakness potions, just in case I needed extra. And the reason that I might need extra is because right across the water right here is Cash Town. Now, 3 of these house structures contains nothing but librarians, but one of them contains cartographers. Now, the reason for that is because the main reason I built this area was to get mending books, and it took me a lot of librarians before I found a mending librarian, because I was just constantly trading with them until I could find one in their thing, and it wasn't until I was on those over there where I was like, no, it makes more sense to break and replace the workstation until it's a mending book. But anyways, every single villager in Cash Town was once a zombie that I cured with a golden apple and a weakness potion. And basically what I do is I buy glass from the librarians, turn it into panes, sell it for an increased profit at the cartographers, and rinse and repeat and get even more money than I was ever getting with my villager apartment block. And then the most recent change I made was that I came out here and added a proper sugarcane farm. I actually don't know if I like this one singular row down here, so I might clear this row down here out and just leave these 3. But at the same time, I feel like extra sugarcane is nothing to complain about, so I might just leave it. But Cash Town is probably the most important villager station in this world other than the iron farm, so I try to make sure that nothing bad ever happens to it. But that pretty much is the final structure within our compounds area. Within that 3x3 grid of 1x maps, that is all of the major features of any real value or importance. But over here, within the rest of the starting map, is some other pretty important little things. So, firstly, you'll notice up there is in fact a pillager outpost on the top of this mountain here, which is also a mountain meadow biome similar to the other one, although this mountain is much bigger. And this was actually a bit of a lucky pillager outpost because it had a goat horn in it, which, since this is the 1.19 world, I have been trying to explore as many of the 1.19 features as I could with the limit on exploration that we have, which unfortunately means I am not going to be able to do anything with frogs or the mangrove swamp until the next update. But you can see I added in a perfect little staircase so that you can easily climb the mountain, get up here, run into the pillager outpost, and we're actually going to do that real quick and see if I can get lucky. And you can just come up here, kill a pillager with a banner, and then we can do raids. And the reason you... Oh, that's actually perfect. That's exactly what we came here for. And the reason you want to be able to come up here, and the reason I built it in this exact spot, is because if we come to the edge of the mountainside here, you'll see that that brown spot on my map on the shoreline is in fact my raid arena area. So I flattened out this massive beach area. You can see that's where I pushed it back to and was reshaping the terrain. And I created a structure which contains a single villager inside of it along with an iron golem and a fully max level beacon. And what this serves to do is, once you've come up here and got Bad Omen and the sort of farming method for it, or once you've got Bad Omen naturally while exploring or doing stuff across the Minecraft world, you can come over here. We'll just kill these chickens while I'm here for the fun of it. And ignore that cobble box. I'm just using it to temporarily contain some some zombie villagers, which we're going to put to use later. You can see it's a perfect circle, which I then added some irregularities in height to and in shape to create a sort of wooden wall protecting the villagers inside. We're going to try not to set off the bad omen effect just yet, because I want to dump off some of this stuff that I just picked up a second ago. My inventory is getting really, really cramped. This isn't necessarily the best time to really be doing a raid, but we got Bad Omen while we were already over here, and I don't want to have to take a trip back later. So we're just going to go ahead and do this now. And, yeah, let's Silk Touch up this. We'll just throw Bad Omen, or the Pillager banner, right here in this chest. Can I leave the dirt behind, too? I can leave the dirt behind. And I'm going to leave the saplings as well. I just don't feel particularly inclined to value or keep on to any of those things. The rest of our inventory, though, kind of has to stay. Maybe we can abandon the 5 melons. And let's go ahead and get this raid started up. We're going to use my shield. I never really use my best gear in this world. As we saw earlier, I do already have some max level tools and armor, but I don't really carry them around with me all the time. My work pick is a max level fortune pickaxe, though. But, like my sword, I have multiple looting 3 swords and extra looting 3 books, so it's not like I need to be using this sword, but I personally have just not been minding sticking with it for now. Especially because, whenever I'm doing stuff like Wither Skull farming, I don't use this sword. And you know, I really just don't need super massive quantities of some of the resources that I get with this sword. Like, there was a pink sheep in here. That pink sheep must have been before the reset and it despawned, but whatever. Fortunately, we have one more named pink sheep, so it shouldn't be a problem. And you can see that the beacon, I chose to give it strength 1 and regen 1. I wanted it to have regen no matter what, because regen just basically makes raids something you can do mindlessly. And I wanted, I really wanted to have another effect on it. I couldn't decide between strength 1 or resilience 1. But ultimately, I decided that with the regen, you don't really need resilience 1, and having strength 1 makes killing ravagers faster, so it just ultimately seems like a bit of a better idea to have strength 1 and regen. Okay, I get it, you don't have to keep being actually annoying. We have so many saddles in this world that I don't bother keeping the saddles from these raids. I just dump them in a chest down there on the shore. And because we have an iron farm, I no longer really need any of this iron tools or armor. I've still been keeping them and just storing them up inside this little wagon design that I built over here. But really, that's not a necessity. I could probably let all that stuff just drop on the ground and be lost too. And it wouldn't really make hardly any difference. Do not poison me. The other reason I really wanted to regen, that just reminded me, is because during the witch phase... Okay, you guys are really annoying. This is why I brought a shield. During the witch phase, it can be really annoying to get poisoned, and then to basically just have to fuck off for a little bit, or else you risk getting down to half a heart because of how long the poison effect lasts. So I thought regen would also help with that, which I would say it does a pretty good job of helping out with that problem. Let me just dump these crossbows, because they're also pretty useless. And we can just drop this iron boots in there. I'm thinking in a little bit here, what I'll do is I'll probably take some of this raid loot and create a emergency re-kitting station at spawn, so that if you happen to die with your good gear, you can quickly get kitted up and get back to where you were before. Okay, you need to chill with that. Oh, my hunger's low. I was wondering why it wouldn't let me sprint. But anyway, just like that, we basically just went through an entire raid, and the villager was never in any danger. We were never in any danger. I was playing very recklessly, and it didn't even matter. And this just gets us some extra emeralds, some enchanted books occasionally, some enchanted tools occasionally, and obviously, most importantly, extra totems of undying, which is always nice to have. Yeah, like I said, we don't even really have to worry anymore. I can just run here, do a raid super easily, and then leave. Speaking of leave, we're going to leave every one of these saddles here, and we're actually going to leave all of this farm meat that we got here as well, along with the gunpowder. At some point, I'll probably come back here and take a lot of this gunpowder and farm meat and stuff like that, but as I mentioned earlier, my storage room is not necessarily built for this task of supporting the amount of stuff that I have now. So sometimes the truth is I honestly just have to leave stuff in chests across the world where I'll be able to come back to them at a later date. Phantom, do not hit me while I'm trying to put stuff in this chest. Oh, actually, hold on. Let me take all the Bane of Arthropods stuff out of here, and we'll put that in the spider farm from earlier. Okay, that's really annoying. Oh, it unbound my keys! No! Oh, son of a bitch. Oh, shit. Okay. Okay. There's a Minecraft glitch where one of these keys, I think it's like the L3 or the R3 key, when you press it in a certain way, it fucking changes your keybinds, and it, like, disables your keybinds. And it's happened a few times to me in this world, and a few times to one of my friends as well. And that shit is literally so concerning, because all it takes is one creeper to get you while you're basically stuck AFK. And damn, there's a lot of really annoying mobs pissing me off right now. I'm just trying to loot this crate in peace. Is that too much to... Don't you even do it. Anyways, with that done, we can get back to what we were actually getting ready to do, which is run back to the base now that we have Here with a Village. We'll take a stop at Cash Town to use the cash exploit. Don't you dare. I didn't even have time to draw it fast enough. Oh, and there's another one right there. We'll take a stop at Cash Town to do the cash trading, and then we'll go back to the village to do some farm trading. Damn these phantoms. We will dump off the Bane of Arthropods raid loot, and then we'll get on to the... probably the final or semi-final thing to really show off in this world. Oh, hell yeah, you should call your room Cash Town, bro. Always gotta stay committed to getting the bag. And in fact, that's why I named it Cash Town. Because exploiting the masses for their profits is what I live for. And having a place where I can do exactly that and acquire large quantities of wealth at the expense of others is something I truly, truly adore. Let's pop into Cash Town real quick and get started on doing exactly that. We already have 41 emeralds out, so we don't even have to open our chest, really. Let's see. We can only buy... Okay, I wasn't paying attention. We can only buy from each of these glass villagers 11 times without risking maxing out their trade. So we do have to be a little bit cautious. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. No. It's not just a bunch of villagers. Every single one of these villagers was originally a zombie villager that was manually cured and turned into a villager so that they would sell me things at a cheaper rate. And then I exploit them by buying glass from one half, immediately walking next door after turning it into glass panes, and selling it for essentially multiplied amounts of money super easily. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is more than just a place with villagers. I'm gonna have to stop you right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now, the most important villagers here at Cashtown are Gustavo, who used to be the best cartographer here until I maxed out some of his prices on accident. Sheep, who I call a sheep because of how gullible he is for letting me exploit him so easily. And Adam, who is over there and is the name of the mending villager. We're going to dump off the extra glass here, and I'll be able to sell all this extra glass the next time I get Bad Omen, or next time I get Hero of the Village. Let's leave behind these. You confuse the fuck out of me. Sheep so full I bake. I don't know how you make some of the typos that you make. Like, there's a lot of typos that I can easily understand people making. But when you have typos, you be having some of the most elaborate, like, convoluted, bizarre typos on the planet. It's a little bit baffling sometimes, where I really just have to stop when I'm trying to read some of your messages and be like, what the fuck could that even possibly mean? And then you're just like, oh no, I actually meant I put my plate in the microwave. And it's like, bro, how did you get from point A to point B? Your autocorrect is a bitch. Bro, your autocorrect isn't just a bitch. Your autocorrect is literally preying on your downfall on the daily. Because it really be doing some wild things to you. But anyway, don't you dare hit me, Phantom. Pull out the blicky. I lied, this is not my blicky. I actually do have a max level crossbow in my basement that has been dubbed the blicky. Oh my god! Can you not? Okay, I missed. Let me make sure that doesn't land on anyone's animals that are of any importance. Are there more coming after me? I missed! I never miss. That's not supposed to happen. I'm basically Hawkeye. No! I missed as well. Oh shit. I'm glad that did not hit a villager, because I shot it directly into the apartment block. Alright. Let's get all the melons and pumpkins back out of our chest, and let's get back to doing a little bit more exploiting. Once again, I can only do the trade 11 times with each farmer, so let's go down one room at a time and make sure I don't max any of them out. 1, 2, 3, 4... Okay, hold on, I need to do multiples of 11. So this should be 22. Alright, that boy's maxed out. I'm gonna hold my pickaxe while I do that, actually. We gotta get to 33. Now get to 44. Perfect. Get to 55. Okay, and then it's gonna get a little bit more complicated once we get to 64. Because we actually want to get 2 more after that. Yeah, this is... You can... There's two ways of playing Minecraft. There's the minimalist way of playing Minecraft, where you get just enough gear to kill the Ender Dragon, and then you're done. And then there's the maximalist way of playing Minecraft, where you dedicate your life to becoming so rich that you feel like Bill Gates looking down on all the peasants while you laugh. Let's get to 13 emeralds. And then plus 11, 24. Through most of my time playing Minecraft, I've been a minimalist Minecraft player. Always doing just enough to beat the game, and then feeling like, oh, well, if I beat the Ender Dragon and I beat the game, I guess that means I'm done. But I realized that doing that means you're always going to get bored of Minecraft, and you're always going to want to quit your world. But when you play Minecraft in a bit of a more maximalist way, it makes you feel compelled to keep playing, because my cap a Rocky at... You know a Rocky, the creator of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? Let's get to 35. My capitalist shoddy. Oh, I am your capitalist shoddy. You put me in fucking, I don't know, Idaho 40 years ago, I'm becoming an oil tycoon. I'm just built different. I should have one more farmer here. So, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm not gonna count because I already fucked up counting. Now I'm gonna count. We're gonna get to 66 again. Okay, so let's dump the remaining melons and pumpkins off in this chest. And now I will explain to you just why the melon and pumpkin farm is easily in my top 2 farms. Because I think we only had about, like, let's be generous and say that we had 25 emeralds in this chest, even though that's not how many I had. So, even with a generous estimation towards what I originally had in that end chest, from that one thing at Cashtown and with the farmers, we got 2 stacks and 48 emeralds. Which is, let's see, 19 emerald blocks. And it took us about 5 minutes of pressing X instead of spending a few hours mining in a mountain biome. And that is why I am a capitalist, born and raised. Let's drop off the rest of this loot. Make sure I didn't leave anything else in my end chest. Looks like we're good. Eventually, this entire chest will be filled with an entire row of emerald blocks and entirely maxed out stacks of emeralds. And I will truly know that I am the richest man in this world. I mean, I'm already the richest person in this world among the few people who's, you know, in this actual Minecraft world, but I'm going to be richer than any of the villagers combined. Which now leaves us just about one more thing to do. So we're going to leave the Bane of Arthropods stuff up here for now, because I don't feel like bringing it down to the spider farm just yet. We're going to leave the hoe behind, and we're going to go to the 2, arguably 3, final things that need showcased within the world. Actually, I think there's one more we'll go to later as well. But after that, that'll be essentially the full recap of this world. And with the world pretty much recapped and fully explained, the loss of the first 2 streams will be rectified, and we can move on to, you know, doing something new, like a new project in our next stream. So once we come down here, we can cross here for another farm that is really close to our base. That is a skeleton farm. Unfortunately, there must be a lot of nearby caves, because the skeleton farm is not efficient at all. It might look efficient, because, oh, the second you turned off the light, 3 skeletons spawned, but it is not. Skeletons spawn at this thing at such a reduced rate compared to the zombie farm, that you have to sit here for ages in order to get XP, which kind of defeats the purpose of the enchantment table that I put down here. And essentially that means that all this farm is really good for is bones and arrows. Although it is pretty good for bones and arrows. And to be honest, the skeletons don't even fall down through the water as fast as the zombies normally do. They get caught easier. So this farm is just like a peak example of how just because a design works in one place doesn't mean it'll work in another. Because this thing is just not really doing it for us. But you can see one side is all bones, one side is all arrows, and this chest is getting backed up with bows. I didn't know how to lock hoppers when I built this, so instead, this side has all arrows, and the hopper that funnels into it is filled with bones and a bow, and the other side is filled with the opposite. So it's not practical, because it means that these 2 chests down here only get filled up when you clear out this chest, or when you clear out these hoppers, and you have to manually remove the bows. But because this is such an inefficient farm anyway, I just haven't really minded it or wanted to do any complicated redstone. And I did build a semi-auto, semi-auto smelter here, where you can throw any broken iron or gold armor that they drop up in the top, and then use the bows as furnace fuel. So if this thing would spawn in more skeletons, this would actually be a pretty efficient farm. But unfortunately it is not right now, so this farm is pretty much useless. But coming back through here and continuing the way down the stairs, you can see we can cut through the lush cave to the IRS. Now, we've already talked a lot about wealth and capitalism in this world, but the IRS is not what you think it is, because this is not for taxing the people of this world. Instead, it is an intercontinental railroad system that has been dubbed the IRS. You can pop this, and this will essentially automatically carry us 1,000 blocks in this direction, which is, I want to say, west. And it is going to be 1,000 blocks in each direction from 0, 0. Right now, only the south tunnel and the eastern tunnel are done. And when I say done, I mean dug out. W187 has been the one digging this tunnel, and I have been the one going back and adding in all of the rails and adding in the walls and making sure that the floor and ceiling are all normal deep slate and nothing else. Any of these gaps you see are strip mines or paths that lead off into caves, which we have left open so that people can still explore. Because this is, like, not just a railroad. It's not just a roller coaster. It serves a purpose. It's a way of travel and getting around the Minecraft world. You can see now he's digging the west tunnel, and you can see his progress down there. It goes about 300 blocks. So 1,000 blocks, 1,000 blocks, 300 blocks. I did the math, and by the time he's done with this project, he will have dug, I think, 112,000 blocks of deep slate, tuff, and ore. And because this is one of the only things he's been doing in this world, he's been racking up a pretty sizable amount of diamonds in the process. But we're going to take a ride on the IRS down the south tunnel for a little bit and make our way to the zombie farm. And I'll actually whip out my map real quick, just so that you can see the distance that we're traveling right now while we're riding on the IRS. We're traveling a pretty considerable length.